Well, hello and welcome everybody to Barefoot Doctor's Mechanics of Enlightenment. I really hope you'll find the webinar enlightening, illuminating, edifying and above all interesting and fun. Now you may be wondering who I am. I'm Sue O'Kell from Barefoot Doctor's team, and in just a moment I will introduce you to Stephen the Barefoot Doctor. Now before I do that, here's just a very quick run through of what we will be covering today. It seems an obvious place to start, so we'll start with the obvious, taking a look at definitions of enlightenment, and specifically Stephen's definition and what he means by psychoenergetics, the mechanics of enlightenment. We'll also be discussing what School for Warriors is, Stephen's online training, and looking at those psychoenergetics that you can learn through this training. And towards the end of today, we'll be looking at a very special School for Warriors offer. Now do stay with us for the full session, as that offer also includes how you can access a free one-to-one session with Stephen. So do stay tuned for that. Meanwhile, let me give you a brief overview of why Stephen is so very well qualified to lead this gathering of the clan for the edifying conversation he has promised us today. Now, Stephen specialises in helping you feel good from the inside out, something he's been practising since the age of 11 when he first started his own martial arts training. He's now a martial arts master and a doctor of Chinese medicine, skilled in the Taoist healing methods and philosophy. But what makes him particularly special is that he's also spent years living with the Native American Indians and studying with luminaries in various fields, including the psychiatrist Ronnie Lang and spiritual teacher Ram Dass. Stephen's unique wayward Taoist approach encompasses aspects of humanistic psychology, Hinduism, Buddhism, shamanism, existentialism, and my favourite, downright common sensism. So you're in for a treat today. So let's get right in there and say hi to Barefoot Doctor Stephen Russell. Hi, Stephen.
Hello, Sue. Lovely to be here with you, and hello, everybody. Thank you for being here.
Okay, let's start with what this webinar is all about, which is enlightenment. And I've popped a few definitions up on the screen there. And I wondered if we could have your thoughts on those definitions. I'm hoping, of course, you can see the screen at the moment.
The actional state of attaining or having attained spiritual knowledge or insight, in particular in Buddhism, that awareness which frees a person from the cycle of rebirth, a blessed state in which the individual transcends desire and suffering and attains nirvana, the state of having knowledge or understanding, the act of giving someone knowledge or understanding. Well, they're pretty boring, don't really say anything to me, but what enlightenment is not anything mystical or mystifiable. Even using the word spiritual is a bit naff because it doesn't really mean anything. So it's really a very simple thing. We are enlightened. That's our natural state. What happens is from a very early age, we become entranced by the stories that people tell us about the world, and then that starts to become our own story, which we then become entranced by, and then we're living in a trance. So if you look around you, people going to work in the morning, coming home at night, sitting in the office, even in their personal relationships, watching TV, sitting in restaurants, people are generally in a trance. Now what enlightenment is when you stop being in the trance, hence why meditation, martial arts practice, people get it rock climbing or mountain climbing, they get it paragliding, they get it jumping out of planes, they get it taking hallucinogenic drugs, they get it dancing in clubs, all sorts of ways that take you out of the trance of the everyday. Once you're out of the trance, you are in the enlightened state, which means that the light of primordial consciousness, that consciousness that you embodied when you took form in the womb, that initial thrust of consciousness that fills this entire universe, that ineffable intelligence, is passing through every part of your mind. So that what Freud called the unconscious is no longer unconscious. You're aware of all the processes going on in your mind at the deepest level. You're aware of being the witness bearer to the thoughts that are going on in the front of your brain. You're aware of being a physical form, or being in a physical form, which is experiencing various emotional turbulences and conflicts and so on and so forth. But you are aware of that, and you're aware fully of the vastness of the intelligence that informs you, not in an intellectual way, that's irrelevant to this stuff, in an actual visceral way. You are fully, utterly conscious. You're able to transact with others in the world, but no longer are fooled by the subterfuges and the lies and the obfuscations that people perpetrate. You can hear what people are thinking. You can see the past from different perspectives. In other words, rather than be fooled by merely an opinion or a prejudice about the past, like the one angle. And you can even see how things are developing into the future. And you're actively in touch with the presence that informs this entire universe, the one presence that we are actually all expressions of. We're like different faces of the one presence. You actually feel that. You see it in the other. And this radically transforms your experience day to day, minute to minute, as you go along. Now, most people think that enlightenment is something you have to attain, that it's a process you have to go through to become enlightened. It's this thing that you achieve, nirvana, whatever. In fact, it's not. It's just a reframe, a repositioning of yourself at a psycho-energetic level, which we'll talk about in a minute, that shifts your presence into the right part of your body, and then enlightenment is. It's as simple as that. And you can come in and out of it, and you do come in and out of it. You oscillate, variously getting transfixed by the world around you, and then dropping out of that and coming back into the presence that you really are. Although I say that it's not a process, it's not. It happens instantaneously, but training is required for this method of attaining enlightenment. I mean, you could go dancing every night, and that eventually probably would do it, but who could go dancing every night? You could spend your whole life taking hallucinogenic drugs, and that might do it for you, but surely that's not a healthy way to proceed. And I could go on and on and on, but this is one very practical, fail-safe method to opening up to the enlightened state. And because we live in temporal reality, there will be a process, some sort of linear process by which you have to be trained, you have to train yourself rather, or retrain yourself so that you can return to your natural state. You think it would be the easiest thing in the world just to be yourself, to be the magnificent being you are, but it's actually one of the hardest things because everybody's so busy trying to be like somebody else. Over to you for the next question. I probably answered about 18 of your questions in one there.
Well, let's start with this one. You know, anybody who's ever thought about the life that we're leading is asking, why are we here? Would you consider that the quest for enlightenment is the reason we are here? And is this enlightened state the holy grail of being human?
No, first of all, asking why is a totally unenlightened question. That has got nothing to do with enlightenment. When you're in the enlightened state, you don't ask why about anything because it's pointless. Why are we here? What difference does it make why we're here? We're here. That's it. What we can do with it is another question, and how we do that, that's interesting. But why we're here, so what? We're here. That's it. That's the mystery. Why do we need to know why? So no, that's not part of enlightenment. It's quite the opposite. That's rational mind thinking, which actually blocks enlightenment altogether. It distances you from the experience, which is what we're all very good at doing, abstracting it all. And the holy grail of enlightenment, there isn't a holy grail. That's it. Being enlightened in the state that you actually are, your real natural state, as the Taoists call it. That's it. Then everything is beautiful. That's the holy grail. But there's not. That implies there's a process, a hump. You've got to hump for the grail. You don't have to hump for the grail. It's there now, inside everybody, right now. There's no hunt required. It just is shift the positioning inside, and bang, you're in the state. You've got to know how to do that.
Now, you might not be hunting for it, but it has been, you know, a lot of people's search throughout their lifetime's work, and particularly, it seems, creative people, musicians, poets, artists, they communicate this search through their work. And it seems that it's deeply linked to the creative urge. Why do you think that is?
I don't know any instances of people searching for enlightenment through their creative expression. I've many instances of people expressing the enlightened state through music, the reason, or any other creative art really, but the reason for that is that when you're engaged in a creative pursuit, you are actually putting yourself in the generative flow of existence itself. You're receiving information from the muse, so to speak, and translating it or shaping it according to your particular artistic sensibilities for the benefit of everyone around you. And there is nothing that I know of that is more joyful than channeling through creative expression for people to enjoy. It is being in partnership, if you like, on a practical level with the Tao itself, with the generative force of everything. So the two are very much linked together. And but I don't think people search for enlightenment through music or whatever. They seek to express the enlightened state through it. They might not be calling it that. Maybe, Van Morrison did, but most people wouldn't. They're just expressing it, and it doesn't have to be through so-called spiritual music. I mean, my friend Jaguar Skills, his music is aggressive and ostensibly highly unspiritual, but the effect it has on a crowd is it makes everybody incredibly loving and open and warm somehow. So it comes in many guises, in other words.
But wouldn't you? So that is helping people reach that enlightened state, then, isn't it? Because you touched on Van Morrison there, and I know for a fact that he creates music specifically to get people into that state. And having been to your electronic therapy session in Brighton just recently, it felt the same. It felt that the evening was to help people, reach that state of letting go.
Yeah, I mean, that's all the musical stuff I've ever done has been completely all about that. But it's not to reach the state, it's to switch into it. So the reaching still implies there's a journey, and there isn't. It's just you're in it or you're not. So it's like all this stuff, if music resonates with you, the vibration of it takes you there instantly. And you're there. You might not be able to give form to it intellectually, but you're in it. That's why people go dancing and do all that stuff, yeah, for sure.
What about science then? Where does that all sit? Because scientists would say that they seek to understand, they seek to be enlightened about, why we're here and cause and effect and all those other things. What's your thought on science and enlightenment?
Well, there's some huge contributions being made to the field of human awareness by various quantum physicists and who are reaching exactly the same conclusions in their search as the Taoist mystics reached, or the Vedic mystics reached thousands of years ago. Maybe they might be using slightly different terminology, but they're saying exactly the same thing. And it's very useful because we are an intellectually based society, and we need to have our intellects pandered to. I would personally, and have always been of the persuasion that it's more interesting to have direct experience, to engender the state that Einstein was in when he came up with E = mc squared, for example, rather than to abstract it and intellectualize it. I'm not criticizing people who do that. We all have a function. But what interests me and what I'm wanting to share with people are the keys to entering the same state Einstein was in when he received that inspiration, because he didn't get that through intellectualizing it. There was no process of intellectualization. It was intuitively gleaned, and that's the state we're looking to enter into.
And what about atheists then? Because the quest for enlightenment, I know you say that we're all, we just have to switch into it, but it has, for many years, in many different traditions, been seen as a quest, and a religious or a spiritual quest, in fact. Would you see it as a simple human desire to experience enlightenment?
Yes, it's not a desire to experience it, it's because it's who we really are. We are really enlightened beings, and we miss that. We go into the trance of the everyday world and are completely fooled by it, but there's something in the soul that's screaming out to get that connection back. That's why people take up Tai Chi, it's why they learn to meditate. They might think it's because they're feeling stressed and they need to clear their mind, or they've got some illness they want to overcome, or whatever it is, but it's actually the soul producing such symptoms as stress and pain and whatever, of screaming out for your attention to say, come back and be what you really are here. That's innate to every human being. We all have that consciousness. We want it. It's innate that we crave it. Being an atheist is irrelevant because atheism is just a sort of another way of expressing. I think it's usually these days referring to people who don't believe in God as we describe God, or religion, because they're just not. They don't resonate with that, and I can fully empathise with that. You don't have to have any religious tendency or even entertain a spiritual aspiration to be enlightened. These are just words. This is really basic stuff. It's like we are that. We are. You can call it what you like, but we are it. You can call it God. You can call it the divine. You can dress it up however you want. You call it the Tao if you want. It doesn't make any difference. But that's what we are, and it doesn't matter whether you believe in religion or you don't believe in religion, whether you call yourself an atheist, an agnostic, or a religionist. It makes no difference. We all know there's primordial consciousness. We all know that we embodied it in the womb, that we didn't invent it, that it wasn't some imaginary thing that we concocted. We have it. We all know that we embodied life, primordial life, when we got in the womb. We didn't invent that. It's not imaginary. We know these things exist. We know they exist. We know the universe is billions of years old. And we know it exists. So it doesn't matter what you believe in. This has got nothing to do with belief systems. This is to do with basic psychophysical mechanics. It's really that simple.
So if it's innate and we're screaming out for it and it is to do with those basic mechanics, how many people even come close, would you say? What sort of percentage of the world's population are enlightened?
This is an impossible question to answer because
I thought it might be.
I mean, there's absolutely, I don't know any actuary on the planet who sat down and done the stats on it, and how would you anyway? Because in any one moment, people are waking up. You don't know how many people are waking up to who they are, what they are, or how long it's going to last for. It might be a temporary shock that caused it, like the death of somebody, suddenly puts them in perspective, and then the shock wears off and they're out of it again. It's very, very hard to say. I'd have to say that 100% of the people on this planet are enlightened, but very, very few realise it. That's all. It's just a minority, but that's okay. That's okay. It's fine. It's fine for it to be a minority. It doesn't need everybody to get it, for everyone to get it. Because basically, according to the 100 monkeys theory, you only need 100 monkeys to get something, and then all the monkeys everywhere get it. That's the kind of way it works. It spreads into the collective psyche. So once there's enough of us, in the Revelations they called it 144,000, once there's enough of a percentage of us in the enlightened state, it will spread. It will spread.
Now, I know in the tough times that many people are having at the moment, it's tough enough simply being a human being, getting on in life and dealing with the ups and downs and tackling our emotions and feelings about all sorts of different things and earning a living and bringing up children. I mean, is this sort of search, I know you don't like the phrase searching for enlightenment, but getting into the enlightened state, is it something that is just a middle class pursuit for the chattering classes as they're known?
No, not at all. I mean, the whole point of doing it is because it's too painful being the other way. When you're lost in all that stress, all that external stress, and you're completely merged with the drama of it all, it's a horrible place to be. The whole point of this is it actually takes no time at all. Once you're in the state that is actually your natural state, you handle all that stuff totally differently. It becomes a joy and a pleasure to unravel like a jigsaw puzzle rather than a horrible thing to face. So it's no, definitely not. And I know enough people who are on the poverty line around the world that I've met in developing countries and here in the UK even, that are some of the most enlightened people that you'll ever come across. And I'd say really the middle chattering classes are probably the least likely people to be interested because they're too smug and involved in their stuff to go for it. So probably it really is for everybody. It's for everybody.
So,
I mean, all this middle class, lower class stuff is all just part of an illusion. It's just a story we tell ourselves. All of us, no matter what we appear like, no matter what caste we're in, according to the Indian system, we're divine beings in human form. It's just a game, all of this stuff. That's all it is. It's a big game.
So what traits would you associate then with someone being more in the enlightened state than not in it?
There'd be somebody who would never, ever be caught wearing brown shoes with navy blue trousers. Mostly that, I'd say. You know, and they give you that look. They got that lovely look in the eye where people go, "Gosh, your eyes are so intense." No, really, I'm being facetious, obviously, but generally, when you're around somebody who is in themselves properly, is properly situated, it makes you feel authentic. You feel real when you're in their presence. When you're with somebody whose mind is literally filled with genuine light, you know, I mean, I'm talking like a light bulb kind of light, it makes you feel light around them. I had an experience where a Tibetan meditation master, Geshe, that used to come to the Tai Chi school I used to go to about 40 odd years ago. He used to come once a month and do a meditation group with everybody there. And when he sat down and started, he closed his eyes. It was like you had a bright white light bulb went on in your brain. And it wasn't an imaginary thing. It wasn't something I conjured up. And I checked it. Everybody had the same experience. You sit, you close your eyes, and bang, a light went on. And it was the light that he was somehow making available for everybody. So you feel turned on and genuine and real and authentic and powerful when you're around somebody like that. You feel safe to stop pretending and playing the game. That's the main thing, is how you feel around them that will indicate there is somebody who's realized themselves. It will help you realize yourself in their presence. I think that would be the main thing. But the navy blue trousers and brown shoes probably as well.
So, you know, I mean, is this a fleeting experience? Does it come and go? Is it different for everyone?
Well, you ask great questions. It will be fleeting or intermittent initially, because the allure of the entranced state, or the habit of the entranced state, is so strong. We're so used to it, and we do operate by clinging to the familiar. It's a human trait. Well, it's nature's way of feeling. So when you get the message and you sink in and you realize how to be, it's an amazing feeling, but you don't trust it at first because you're not familiar with it. So you'll swing back to the familiar, the unenlightened state. Then that will get painful, and then you'll remember, oh yeah, I know how to do that thing. And bang, you're back in it again. And gradually, as you learn to trust it, a little bit like a wild animal learning to trust a human, it takes time. You could get it all in one go, but probably wouldn't for that reason. Once, however, you've learned to trust the state, and once you've learned to, you know, like it's like you when you learn to drive, at first you couldn't imagine driving and talking to someone at the same time. But once you get used to it, you can drive, you can talk, you can listen to music and do all sorts of things. It's exactly the same. Once you're used to the state, you learn to trust it and realize you can operate even more effectively from that place in the world. Then you remain there pretty much all the time, unless something really compelling happens and bang, you're out of it for a moment. But then you remember and you sink back in again. That's my experience of it anyway.
So this whole process then, you talk about trust, you also talk about perspective and different ways of seeing, being able to transcend prejudices and preferences and to command the flow of events and to heal. Are we basically talking about managing life better? Are these life management skills?
Absolutely that. And that, you know, another way of putting it would be that you're learning to organize yourself at the deepest level. So we learn to organize our workflow by doing to-do lists and mind maps and so on and so forth. And we do time management, and we try and stick to our timetables and get everything done. What we're not very good at is organizing our existential state. And what this stuff is all about organizing your existential state. To organize a mess, which is what most of us are, you first have to be able to see what all the different components are. And now, when you're busy stuck in the entranced state, you're not aware of all the various components of your being. It's all just one big mad mush. But once you learn how to reposition yourself, which is what psychoenergetics is, you are quite clearly able to see that, this is the part of me that is the fear part, this is the part of me that is the courage part, this is the part of me that's operating from 5 years old, this is the part of me that is the full-blown adult, this is the drive part of me, this is the common sense part of me. this is the fair part of me, this is the ruthless part of me, and this is the eternal part of me, the bit that isn't associated with the temporal world, which is the witness bearer. This is the local me, the constructed self, the ego, the personality, or whatever you want to call it. So firstly, it gives you the ability to discern all the various components of your being. The next stage is to then let each be in their rightful place within. What the Taoists had, which no other system has as far as I know, was the knowledge of how to place the various components of your being within your physical form, so to speak. The Indian yogis did it as well with chakras and so on, but not nearly as clearly as this Taoist system.
So we're talking about managing life better, but what about the active art of creating the life you want then? Is this psychoenergetics, does that help you to do that?
Yeah, I mean, it comes as a byproduct of that, in that one component of your being is your intentionality, that part of you that has an intention to make something happen. For example, you could have the intention to make a cup of tea. That's a very simple one. And then you'll have the picture. You'll make the intention by having the picture. You'll agree with that intention. You know, parts of you will go, there'll be a debate. You're not aware of it mostly, but if you know in the enlightened state you are, you can see it happening. There's a part of you goes, okay, yeah, I can make a cup of tea. I'm willing to expend the energy on that one. I'll enjoy the gratification of drinking it. And that you put the kettle on, you and you drink the cup of tea. It's the same with bigger pictures. So, you know, if you want to manifest a state of great joyfulness and peace of mind and having all the wherewithal you need to support you in doing what you do, you just visualize yourself in that state and you let it happen. It will happen. Life will bring it to you one way or the other. You can also choose the mode in which you want to experience the process of the stuff happening. So you could choose, if you don't choose, it will default to stressed, usually with most people, anxious and depressed most of the time. If you do choose the mode, you could choose, for example, easy, smooth, fun, enjoyable, and that's how I tend to choose my modes, and that's how it will be. That's how it will be, and you'll get the thing you wanted, well, you'll get the state you wanted, and there'll be whatever is required to support you in that state. You can, if you want to, and I've done it in previous parts of my life, specify the exact thing you want, and you will get the exact thing you want. However, it will always come with a downside. One of the effects of this practice is the clear knowing, and it's a visceral knowing, that everything works on the basis of yin and yang. So that everything has its shadow side, and conversely, every shadow has its ray of light. So whatever you do manifest in this manifest realm will have both the dark and the light to it. It will have its raft of responsibilities and pain, just as much as it has its raft of benefits and pleasure. And so you stop craving whatever it is on the external world for in the misguided belief that it will bring you the fulfillment that you're craving, because you get the fulfillment from being positioned properly inside. And then the things that you need become less important. They'll come or they won't come, it doesn't matter. Because here and now, which is where enlightenment occurs, and this is a big part of it, being here now constantly, everything is fine, everything is beautiful. This is what we're doing. We're here witnessing being alive. Now, every time we come out of that and get lost in the future and what's it going to be like, all the rest of it, we're not alive properly. We're lost again in the trance. So being in the enlightened state means that you stop caring that much about what occurs externally. Whatever it will be fun. It'll be a fun, challenging thing to go through. It'll be a laugh. It'll be, that's my extreme sport, personally, is playing with life at a fairly intense, extreme level, wanging it out in every direction to see where it lands me, and according to an intention. And it's fun. Wherever it goes, it's fun. Yes, I think I've answered that.
So that's the sort of effects for you, for someone personally doing the training. But if you are spending your time on this inner work, does it have a beneficial effect on other people, a positive impact on others and the world around us?
Well, yeah, because although we're talking about spending time, I mean, obviously, like the way when you train in anything, you have to get the initial lesson. You have to go, okay, like you've got to do this, do that, do this, do that. So you have to practice that bit, and you've got it. Then you're using it all day long. It's not something that you leave at home after when you leave the house in the morning. You take it with you and you play with it all day long. So you're going into the office. You go in with the enlightened state. You're going in meeting spirits in human form. You're going in there with an intention to make it beautiful for everybody. You're going in there with the intention it's going to be fun rather than the same humdrum trance state that you normally would get into. And by you being loving and kind and with an intention to make it beautiful for everyone, those around you feel it. They feel it too. So you ameliorate the atmosphere wherever you are. And then things seem to develop in a much more interesting, playful way than they would when you're moving from the other place.
Now, you've been practicing the Taoist schema for about 45 years, I believe, and teaching it for decades as well. But it is something that's thousands of years old and handed down from ancient China through a really long lineage. Is the wayward Taoist approach that you teach true to that lineage? Now, I'm asking it because it seems a long way from the sort of boring scholastic writings and sort of religious slant that you see if you just Google anything to do with Taoism.
Well, I kind of think you've answered the question there, but I call it wayward Taoism because one of the key attributes of the Taoist sort of approach is one of I was going to say defecating. What's the word? Deprecating humour, where the ideal is that you would be like this useless clod sitting under a tree, and you're so useless that nobody bothers you. You know, they feel sorry for you, so they come and give you sort of money and they give you food and whatever. But it's that idea that you stop taking yourself very seriously, and you just basically follow the prescribed techniques. You adhere to the fundamental principles of the Taoist blueprint, and then life happens in a different way. It's really that simple. There's no belief or dogma involved in it. Now, anybody who's making a sort of a traditional kind of thing out of it by quoting this guy and that guy who wrote this in 610 and this guy who wrote that in the 1600s and he said this, therefore that, and you've got to wear this hat if you're going to do it, or you've got to wear Chinese clothes to do Tai Chi, or whatever it is. It's just bullshit. I mean, it's utter bullshit. It's mystifying something that doesn't need mystifying. It's people who have not got the root of it all. They just haven't got what it is. They're just messing about, as people generally tend to do. So I call it wayward, which is humorous. It's ambiguous. The Tao is translated as the way, therefore you're a ward of the way. The way is looking after you. Wayward means, as we always call it, naughty. And Taoism encourages a total lack of respect for convention and for tradition. That's the whole point of it. It's about being here now. And fuck what everybody said in the past. It doesn't make any difference. Stick to the principles, that these immutable principles, and everything will be beautiful. Don't worry about what the convention is. Don't worry about the traditions. They're not right just because everybody's done them that way before. Oftentimes, mostly, they're wrong. And so, the scholastic thing is a mask. It's just coming from people who haven't got it, so they're making out they've got it by giving it all the academic blarney. And I would say that the brand of Taoism that I practice and teach is as true as you would ever get. It doesn't matter whether you went to the depths of darkest China, you won't get it any more real than this. I devoted my life to exploring it, demystifying it, taking the riddles out of it, assiduously, and it's been quite a process, so that I would get it, so that I could get it properly and live by it fully, and it works. It's beautiful. And then that's what I'm teaching. I've had it verified by various masters, and everybody says you're doing a grand job. So I have no doubt or reticence in saying, yes, this is absolutely 100% spot on.
So tell us about this psychoenergetics then, because the first part of what you teach, the first School for Warriors 1, is about the principles of personal power. Can you give us a quick run through what those are?
Well, psychoenergetics is a term that I've coined to describe what I teach, overall, all of it. Because fundamentally, what you're doing is you're using a combination of repositioning your psyche and moving your energy differently, the combination of which creates a different effect in the way you feel, the way you experience things, and therefore, because life is a mirror, in the way life reacts towards you. And the way the principles of power work is that the first thing is you've got to make friends with your physical form in a particular way that you wouldn't normally do. The physical form is the arena in which you conduct all your experiments with reality. So all the psychoenergetic maneuvers you're ever going to make are going to happen within your skin. That's where it all goes on. And so you have to start appreciating your body and your head as a place of, I call it scientific experimentation, really, with reality. It's your laboratory, if you like. And so the personal power derives from getting to know your body in a particular way. The Taoists talk about the psychic anatomy. So it's another realm or another dimension of physicality that is co-spatial with the human form that we know and are familiar with, but is not the same as it. So you have, for example, three so-called psychic chambers that comprise the sort of the innards, if you like, of the psychic body. You have one in the lower belly, one in the chest, and one in the middle of the brain, which between them govern all your functions. They're the way your soul speaks through your body. And to be able to avail yourself of that and all the other stuff that comes with it, you have to be able to situate yourself properly in your skin. If you're all shoved up in the front of you where it's all very noisy, you've lost your power. If all your energy's in the upper part of your body because you're thinking so much and worrying so much, you've lost your power. If you've stopped holding your breath so the energy isn't flowing through your system, you've lost your power. If your spine is crumpled and you're not elongated, not upright properly, you've lost your power. You've lost your dignity as well, literally. If your shoulders are up round your ears, you again have lost your power. And it's really very simple stuff, but you have to train yourself in it. So you retrain basically to get back to where you were when you were a baby before anybody started disturbing you or running interference on you with all the nonsense that they do. A lot of it well-meaning, of course, but the distractions, the stories that people tell you, the fears they implant in you, the hang-ups they pass down to you, and all the rest of it, the prejudices, the nonsense, the black magic that a lot of society is run on, all the lies and the awful the nonsense that people teach babies. Before all that happens, when you're in your pure state, you are in the enlightened state. You have your power. And there's a way of learning to get to that, which is very simple, and it needs training. And it's what every martial artist trained in the Taoist martial arts will learn as the basis of their training.
Okay, so once you've got familiar with your body and you're used to composing yourself within it, the second stage of what you teach is all about Qi, School for Warriors 2. For people who are not familiar with Qi, how would you describe it and what's its function?
Well, when the Tao generates a universe, as it generates all of this that we're in here, the Tao isn't anything. It's just a presence, if you like. Once it makes things manifest, it does so by being Qi. So in other words, Qi is the Tao in motion. So the presence, the mysterious presence, the primordial consciousness that for whatever reason is here, expresses itself by being Qi. So the whole universe is essentially comprised of Qi. And this is exactly the same thing that the quantum physicists say. The entire universe is energy. Qi is energy, but it's energy that is intelligent energy. Well, actually, energy, all energy is intelligent energy. All energy is Qi. Qi is energy. And you feel it in various ways. If you've never trained it, if you've never been taught how to actually activate it, You'll feel it in a crude form when you're having sex or feeling a desire, for example. That's a chi expressed around the sort of sexual area. Or if you are moved by something that somebody says or a beautiful view or whatever it is that suddenly transports you into an altered state of appreciation for being alive, that's chi in your chest. You're feeling chi in your chest there. Or the one that's a lot more familiar to people, when you're busy thinking all day long in the front of the brain, that's chi expressed as mental thought. It's energy, basically. And what we learn to do in this training is to activate the flow of it internally inside the body, and then, thence rather, all around you, being able to direct it where you will. By directing your chi, primarily it's usually trained as in a martial arts context where people do it, boxing, sparring, and so on and so forth. You're very easily able to vanquish an opponent. When you use your chi to focus on manifesting an outcome, you're much more likely to manifest that outcome because you're imbuing it with the force of the universe. When you lay your hand on somebody with a healing intention, especially if you've got a little bit of knowledge of how to do it, and you channel the chi through your hand into that person, you will expedite their healing. And likewise when you heal yourself. So chi is the life force, it's the energy of the universe channeled through you that has to be activated. Again, when you're a baby, it's natural. Interestingly, in late 80s, early 90s, when the rave scene kicked off in London, there were these parties going on all over the place, and people were taking MDMA, which has a chemical effect of unleashing or activating your chi, specifically around the heart center. Makes people very loving. The original stuff in that context did anyway. So people were suddenly dropping all their fear around each other and were being very loving to each other. And I worked at the Whirligig as the house dog, which was the original psychedelic club. And I was the house dog, and one of my jobs was standing on the stage and doing a very relaxing rap to bring people down ready for what they called the parachute set, which was like the chill out at the end of the night. And that's where I developed the way of doing the conscious clubbing thing, you know, the talking over the beat. And what I observed was, from the stage, you watch people were throwing imaginary balls of chi, of energy, to each other, and they were feeling it because they were in that state. And that's where I got the idea to write Handbook of the Urban Warrior, because I thought, wow, what they're doing here without realizing it is playing with chi, because they've come into their natural state. Now, all I have to do is teach them how to do it, man, and they won't have to use those drugs. And that's the way I've been operating. So it's the natural state for all of us when we stop being afraid of each other, when we stop being afraid of life, and we sink back inside properly. We feel the chi. That's what happens. But then you learn to develop it, channel it, and refine it.
And the more advanced stage of the training, the School for Warrior 3, I believe is about transmuting chi into pure spirit, as you call it. That's rather esoteric for a lot of people. Can you just explain what you mean by that?
Yeah, well, that's borrowing an old Taoist phrase. That's how they describe it, and that was me being loyal to the old tradition. But what it means is that you find your power initially, you get your energy mobilized secondly, and even with that though, there'll still be the human hang-ups that have to be resolved on a daily basis, because there is the human self, there is the ego, it needs to be tended to, can't be denied or ignored, and it has fears about not having courage, it has fears about not being strong, it has fears about not being loved by people, it has fears about not being successful, and so on and so on. So they address these fears by moving the energy through certain parts of the body consciously, where those complexes actually are stored. This is, they know from empirical knowledge, thousands of years of doing the medicine, you can see where people store various hang-ups in the body. And this movement of energy clears all those from the body. You do it consciously so that you're addressing those hang-ups on a daily basis and rectifying them on a daily basis. That's the one stage of it. The second stage then is, with all the, having addressed your human hang-ups, which you must do on a regular basis, you've got your power base, you're situated properly in your skin, you're feeling the vitality, the flow of energy through you, so you have your power. The next stage is that you shove yourself back into the presence that you actually are. So you basically transmuting your whole being into the big presence rather than the small presence. And that is the eternal, immortal spirit, if you want to call it that. And so basically what you've done is you've transmuted chi into Shen, into spirit. And that's the big you. And that's it, really. That's what it means. And by doing it on a daily basis, you become progressively more and more and more of your big you rather than the little you.
Talking of the big you and the little you, Stephen, in the context of your own experience, I know you have lately had to face a number of personal challenges. How has the years and years and years of this training, and specifically, you know, what you teach in School for Warriors, helped you over the past few weeks and months?
Completely and utterly, 100%, totally. Very, very gratified to have had the opportunity to test it out like that. Oh, that sounds a little bit cocky. I wasn't testing it out. It got tested out. And it was a very strange sequence of events. I was driving up to the mountain in Wales to do some writing, book writing, not music. I needed to get some stuff done. So I've got about 6 different books on the go at the moment, and this was what I needed to do some work on one of them. I was also doing what John Parkin wanted me to write 365 bits of wisdom, sort of daily barefoot thing. So I wanted to bang them out, and quite a lot of work and stuff. And caught the flu. I could feel it coming on, and it went into a pneumonia thing. And I phoned a very good friend of mine who runs the A&E at Bournemouth, and she sent me the stuff I needed to clear the pneumonia, thankfully, which I did. And then came out of it with a blood clot. It was like bang, instant, really odd. I mean, from nowhere. Turns out to be 3 massive blood clots in one leg. So I went to the hospital, the accident and emergency, where you would go for that, and they were a bit concerned because they'd never seen anything quite as dramatic, and figured that there must be a cancer going on in the bowel area to cause that. Because they know that there's a connection. So they did a scan on me, and sure enough, and these were really, really good people. It wasn't like they were sort of stupid and there wasn't coffee on the lens. There was a massive cancer, and it was like enough for them to say, sit down, this is really not good news, this is bad news, sorry, really sorry to tell you this. They were almost crying, telling me that, you know, this is it, and it's big, and it's like, it's not, this is a serious one, so it's not, you know, this is serious. And I laughed, and they said, "Are you in shock?" I said, "No. Firstly, I'm okay about dying. I'm totally okay about dying. It's all right. It's okay. I'm okay about illness. I'm a little bit iffy about it. Obviously, I'd rather not be ill, but it's okay." What I was thinking about, as you said that, was I don't like myself in hats. I don't look good in hats. So if I'm going to have to go through chemotherapy and lose my hair, I'm going to have to wear a hat. What hat do I wear? I know. I look all right in a baseball cap turned backwards. What colour? Navy blue. Cotton, wool? We'll get both. That's okay. And I was going through that conversation as you said it, and that's what made me laugh, to watch my own vanity focusing on that. But truly, that was only because myself, I'm fine with dying. Dying is beautiful. You know, it's going home. It's fine. And destiny is destiny. So if it's for me to go now, I go now. I go with grace. It's beautiful. I'm not going to let any of this stop me enjoying being here while I am. You know, this is a delight. It's a thrill to be alive. So that's why I was laughing, really. And it continued. It wasn't denial. I wasn't pretending. I kept checking. I just was using this stuff. Really, it happened just bang. You know, I was in it really strong, this state that you get to, the enlightened state. And there wasn't any fear at all, at all, at all. It was an amazing experience, 3 weeks of it. I then snapped out of the trance and went to see my private doctor, because I remembered it, I got health insurance, why not use it, who then sent me to the guy I needed to see, had all the tests done. Bearing in mind I had no symptoms whatsoever throughout, which was a slightly mysterious thing, and there was nothing there at all, at all, at all. Now, my friends, the original guys who saw it, are totally and utterly convinced that there was no mistake there at all. So the only explanation can be that I healed it logically. I did spend about half an hour one day focusing intensively doing my healing thing that I do on other people. And it was very, very powerful. I was using the healing sounds, using the moving the energy through me, and going on the place they told me there was the cancer. I totally and utterly moved it, disappeared it with my mind. However, I didn't do it in a fearful way. I was quite happy to say to that, if there was a cancer there, hello, my friend, here you are, you come to see me, welcome. I'm not afraid of you. No, let's do this together, honey, buddy. You know, like, let's be friends. I'm not fighting you. If you want to stay, you stay, but if you want to go, you can go. I'll give you the boost to get out of there. And that's the way I did it. Now, I don't know if I did that or not. I kind of hope not, because then maybe cancer will pop up all over the place. I wouldn't know it was there. I wouldn't know to heal it. But that's the only rational so-called explanation. And that's doctors that believe that one, because that's the only way they can explain it. So I don't know. I haven't got a clue what happened there. But the fact is I haven't got any cancer in me. I'm totally clear. I'm in a really good state. I'm feeling brilliant. The blood clots are dissolving or whatever they do, because I'm taking the rat poison every day religiously, and it's working. You know, the leg's no longer swollen. I'm feeling great. And that stuff really worked. I would not have traded that experience for anything. It was beautiful. It was so graceful, the whole thing, the way it happened. I really felt in the presence of the presence the whole time. And it was beautiful. It was a real passage of grace that could have only been so because of this training. Had I not had this training, I would have been freaking my balls off. But I wasn't at all.
Well, I must admit, a few of us were doing a bit of freaking out about it, and massively thankful and grateful that you're okay.
Bless your heart, and so am I.
So we probably weren't exhibiting our warrior characteristics, but you were. So this warrior thing, why is School for Warriors called School for Warriors?
Because I'm a warrior, baby. I'm a warrior. That's the whole thing. This whole training is about being a warrior. That's what I do. I mean, and I'm not talking about putting a suit of armour on and going out with a spear and a sword and doing all that. But we are warriors. We're either warriors or we're wimps. I mean, you've got no choice, really. You know, life is a really tough challenge for anyone. Being human is really, really difficult. Nobody finds it easy. And it's a war, if you like. You know, you're at war with your weakness in yourself. You have to be a warrior. And it's not a negative thing. It doesn't mean being violent. It just means that you're somebody who is willing to take full responsibility for your existence. You're willing to take full responsibility for your experience. You're not blaming another person. You're not acting out of fear. You're not acting out of meanness. You're not acting out of greed. You're acting as an ambassador of the Tao itself. And to be that, you have to be a damn fucking warrior. That's all I can say. So that's why I wrote Handbook for the Urban Warrior. You know, like we're today, we live on an urban planet. You know, the whole thing's a massive urban sprawl. So I called us Urban Warriors because it was cool. It just sounded cool at the time. And so I'm using that. That's my thing, School for Warriors. To be honest with you, though, I started School for Warriors idea, and I'm still on this one at some point in time, if it can be, as a boarding school for children to start at the age of 3, if they needed to, all the way through to 18. I picture it in the mountains somewhere. I don't know how it would work, but it would be a completely holistic education. So from day one, you would be taught how to sit, how to breathe, how to stand, how to move, what it means to transact with another person from a state of love and kindness, where you are, who you are, where you are in the cosmos, what mathematics actually is, not just learning what 2 and 2 is, what linguistics are, not just learning how to speak French or whatever. And then when you've got the whole background to everything that is, just like I taught my own children, especially my third one, because I was much clearer by then you start learning all the stuff that you need to know. But you've got a context to sit it in. And basically this was going to be a school that would educate children to become full-blown warriors. And that's where the idea came from. And then it just, you know, kind of transmuted into, I was thinking like, well, yeah, like I can't do it with kids at the moment, so I'm just not set up for it. I can do it with adults. So let's start. Let's call it School for Warriors, and let's cut in at, you know, at the sort of the other end of it all, assuming it's too late to teach you the whole kind of cosmological thing from scratch. You know, you're not a kid anymore. So let's just jump in with the actual stuff you need to know to be totally powerful and enlightened now.
Okay, so What is it about this School for Warriors, the Taoist system, that makes it stand out? Because let's face it, there are flipping thousands of people out there these days teaching meditation and martial arts and all sorts of personal development courses. Why are psychoenergetics the most effective mechanism for enlightenment and for, managing life and creating life in the way that you want it?
Well, I couldn't claim that they're the most. I wouldn't know. I mean, there are horses for courses, but it's certainly one of the important ones that needs to be acknowledged as being that. Martial arts, yes, you can learn martial arts from many people, which is a brilliant thing. However, studying martial arts is a big task. I mean, you've really got to be up for it. It's very time-consuming. It's rather all-embracing and brilliant, and I'd recommend everyone on the planet to do it, but in reality very few people actually have the stomach for it. But they do want the results of it, and that's what School for Warriors is. It's basically taking the inner game of the martial arts master and giving it to you without having to learn the martial arts. No one has ever done this before, so it's a completely original concept, and it works. It started as an experiment, didn't know if it would, but I could see it would because of all the books and people's feedback from the books. It was just a matter of putting it into a training, and having run it for a few years now, it works. We know that. Amazing feedback from people. The meditation, there are many forms of meditation. This one happens to be the only practical form of meditation that I know of, other than Kriya Yoga, which is very similar, where you are taken step by step into the state through the mechanics of the psychoenergetic state. And I don't know any other system that does that as succinctly. Yeah, yoga does if you're willing to go into the real depths of it and do the Eightfold Path. But again, very few people know to teach it, and very few people are willing to go that far with it. This does it succinctly, relatively very quickly, in a state of, 6 months, if that, on a daily basis. And it's powerful. And I can't say it's the best, but it's certainly the best for me. Plus, it's fun. Plus, I am a good teacher, and I'm fun to learn with. I teach really generously, really clearly. I take out all the mystification, and it's coming from personal experience, from really knowing it, because I live it. So it somehow translates quite clearly, and I think that's probably what makes it different.
So I've put some of the benefits of the training on the screen, from emotional stability to more energy and improved health and vitality and stamina and personal magnetism, strength and manifesting, that high that we've talked about before. I'm curious to know though, you've taught these techniques to what must be millions of people over all the years that you've been doing it. What have been the most inspiring changes you've seen in some of the people that you've taught?
Well, I could give you a list that would go on for days, but most recently, what has struck me, I think, of all the people I've worked with, most recently I've been working for a few months on a mental health project with a group of fellow practitioners, all of us coming from different angles, and my contribution is teaching this, what I teach in School for Warriors, to people who have been diagnosed as dangerous psychotics. They're all guys, no women. And it's a circle of 10 guys. Not all of them come every week, and even I don't go every week. It's only when I'm around. And one guy particularly, I won't say his name, we'll call him Alan for the sake of a name. His name's not Alan, firstly. He's a 40-year-old man who 20 years ago was institutionalized for committing various dangerous, insane acts. And since then has never been asked once what's wrong with him, why he's like he is. And what he's like is that his head was down on one side, on his shoulder, never looked at anybody in the eye, answered mainly with just a single monosyllabic grunt to any questions, and was impossible to connect with. But I really liked him, and my style of working with people is just being honest. And I just said to him, hey, Alan, which wasn't his name, I really like you, man. I really like you. I like you. And his eyes flickered at me. And I said, hey, why are you like that, then? Nobody ever asks people that. Like, why are you like that? Why you don't ever look at anybody? What's wrong with you? I actually said that. What's wrong with you? So, in other words, rather than being patronising and giving you all this therapeutic bullshit, I just said, what's up there? Why don't you never look at anybody? And it turned out from a few weeks of talking, really. He'd been bullied extremely badly at school, really, really badly, like awfully, horribly. It made me cry, actually, to see how fucked up somebody can get because of the cruelty of kids. It's horrible. And I said to him, so you're 40 years old now. Do you want to still be living in fear of what are probably 7-year-old boys that aren't there anymore? It's back in the past. He goes, no. And he looks up and he goes, no, I want to be confident. I need to learn confidence, don't I? And I said, yeah, you do. And then he looked down again. And I said, man, don't look away. Look at me in the eyes. He looks again and then looked away. And then I put my hand on his cheek, which is really like so-called unprofessional, but it was human. I wanted to. And I turned his head towards me. I said, dude, look at me. Look at me in the eyes. Are you afraid of me? And he said, no, I'm not. I said, you trust me? He goes, yeah, I do. I said, yeah, I trust you too. The reason you don't look at people, is it because when you were a kid, if you looked at somebody, they'd go, hey, who are you looking at? And then they start on you. And he goes, yeah, that's it. I said, okay, so you're 40 years old now. We can stop this, can't we? He goes, yeah. So then I started teaching him the stuff that I'm doing in School for Warriors. I was, using my hands a lot, pushing him backwards, pushing him down a bit to sort of get him into his body properly. And then I'd take him on a little journey, putting his hand on my hand, closed his eyes, and he followed me around the room. And as I'm taking him, I was saying, okay, now we're moving through the part of the world where everybody is in trouble, but when you walk through, they suddenly feel better because they like you, man. They feel your vibe. You've got a place in this world. And now we're moving through the city, and the city's full of people who are stressed. But as you pass through, everybody seems to relax because they like you, man. They really like you, these people. You've got a place in this world. And then I kind of took him back to where he was standing originally, and I said, now you're sitting back in your throne. You're now King Alan. You're King Alan, and you feel good, man. You feel good. And I took my hand away. He opened his eyes, and he looked me in the eyes. He didn't look away. Actually, I could almost cry at this point. And we hugged each other, and it was a proper hug. And there were like 20 people watching who were completely astonished because this guy has never spoken to anybody, let alone hug them. And we really stood hugging each other for about a minute. He was tapping me rhythmically on the back as his way of relieving me of discomfort, but he loved it. And, it was a genuine hug of mutual respect and appreciation. Since that time, as part of this, what do you call it, this thing we're doing, this mental health thing, I can't remember, project, he has recorded a hip-hop song, part of the lyrics of which I helped him with, which were, and he's looking direct to camera, proud as anything, face upright, his head upright. I'm Alan, and I'm cool. I used to get bullied when I was at school, but now I'm sorted. I'm cool. I rule. And he did it, man. He did it. It was beautiful. And it's that sort of thing. Now, that's one of the most amazing results I've ever seen. And it was really purely, apart from gentle hypnosis and being kind to somebody, it was all about learning how to sit in his body properly. The whole thing.
Wow, that sounds hugely, hugely rewarding. I'm just putting up a few of the comments from the School for Warriors graduates on the screen for people to read. And I think there is a huge sense of gratitude coming through from everyone. Anne saying, this is tremendous. I feel so privileged to have come across this aspect of your work. Truly amazing, bringing tears to my eyes, so powerful. And terrific program, and so many small and big blessings that I feel overwhelmed. Margaret says, totally fine program, subtle yet powerful. So pleased all the principles will remain available to revisit. Margaret's touching on there that if you become a member of School for Warriors, you have lifetime access to that training. That's important because I'll explain a little more about what we're going to be doing to progress the website on which the School for Warriors training is based. Sue said, just remembering these 8 simple principles that School for Warriors 1 and applying them for short periods of time each day has helped me to get through one of the toughest periods of my life. Thank you, BD. This course is invaluable. And Robin saying, I signed up to do this with you even though money was tight. I'm so pleased I did. It's been worth every cent. And Stephen, you won't actually know about this testimonial because it literally arrived an hour before we came on air tonight. So I'll read it to you. Since I joined and registered for School for Warriors 1, 2 and 3, I've been practicing every day, and I can only say how delighted I was that I took the plunge. Although I can't join the webinar, I just wanted to mention to you and everyone who wanted to register for your training that it is worth every penny. As you said, it's been your lifetime dream to put this across to everybody, and you have done that. I hope lots of people do the training, as it does make a difference if done every day. Like Tai Chi, the cumulative effect is very beneficial. It certainly made a difference to my life. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for this training. With love, Malkit. Okay, well, all of that may mean you're asking yourself about School for Warriors and when you can start and how much it'll cost and all of that. So I will run you quickly through that now, and just really to start with the fact that Stephen has spent 45 years studying the techniques that he teaches you, and 30 odd years of those refining and honing the techniques. As he says, he's a master of distilling it down to the succinct methods that he teaches so that you can get it quickly and easily. He's tested that through thousands of hours of teaching, and of course it's derived from all the best bits of his books and his talks and his coaching and his workshop. So School for Warriors is in 3 parts. They're cumulative, 1, 2 and 3. You can start with 1. If you've already done 1, may be the time for you to move to 2 or 3. If you've not done any of them before, you may want to plunge in and do the whole 1, 2, 3. And if you do decide to do that, we've got a very, very special offer for you, which I'll get to in just a minute. So, School for Warriors. School for Warriors 1 is the 8-week intensive training. We talked earlier on about those 8 principles of personal power, and that is what you learn in School for Warriors 1. Now, you're able to download the trainings and you're able to replay them whenever you want. It's video based, so you watch Stephen doing an exercise. There are 5 videos a week, so 40 videos in total, packed with knowledge and hints and tips. It is step by step. It's really simple to follow. You watch Stephen do it on the screen and then you take it away, practice it yourself, and each day it takes you deeper into those principles of personal power. Now, if you want to find out more of those, you'll see the URL on the bottom there, which is www.schoolforwarriors.com/yes sfw123.html. Now, I know that's a long link, so don't worry if you haven't managed to jot it down, because we'll drop an email out to you tomorrow with that link in again. So you can find out all about the training for School for Warriors 1, 2 and 3 on that link. So that was the School for Warriors 1, the actual training. You also get some bonuses. Now, there's some affirmation audios to help you really ingrain the techniques that Stephen teaches, and there's also some Dub Spirit audios together with that, and Barefoot Doctor's Tai Chi workout to help you loosen up before you do your School for Warriors exercises. Now, I mentioned at the start of the webinar that we really have got some very special offers on today, and that is if you buy any of the trainings 1, 2 or 3, for School for Warriors 1 you get less than half price for a live version of the training. Now, it won't be the same because Stephen when he does the live events, does them differently every time. But we're planning a training in spring 2014 which would ordinarily cost you $327, but if you are a School for Warriors student on 1, 2 or 3, you will pay about half of that. So it would normally cost you $327, but it will only cost you $157 if you decide to take the training, the School for Warriors 1. Now, how much?
£100 roughly, isn't it?
It's sorry, the live event or the School for Warriors 1?
No, the amount you just said. You just said what? 300 and what?
Yeah, the live event will be $327, so it's actually
so it's
the full price is $203, but you're paying about £97, $157. I've popped all the different prices on there just so you can cast your eyes over that. So in terms of what School for Warriors will cost you, we're letting you have this at less than half price, and I'll come to why just a little bit later on. So whether you go for School for Warriors 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2 and 3 until the end of November. We're making these trainings available to you at less than half price. So School for Warriors 1 is $147. School for Warriors 2, once you've learned how to position yourself within your body, School for Warriors 2 is focusing on the amazing power of Qi. So the training is 39 step-by-step videos. Those are really in-depth instructions, pretty much like School for Warriors 1. Stephen will demonstrate to you. You can download, you can replay, you can make it your own. So there's 39 exercises in 4 simple steps, plus a weekly introduction, and each of the videos, as per School for Warriors 1, are absolutely packed with knowledge and hints and tips that really will help you access and develop and harness and focus your Qi.
Also, I should say, it's a very short thing each day. You don't have to do very much. It's about 6 minutes to watch the video and then another 6 minutes or so to actually practice the thing. And then you do it as you work, rest and play. So it's not, it sounds like a lot of time, but it's not a lot of time that you need for each day's training.
Okay, so that's 39 videos for the actual training itself. Got some bonuses to go along with that. There's the Qigong workout, which is another 5 video training. The Big Bird, which is again another 5 video training. And then there's also the Tao Sound and the Tao Raw videos as part of the bonuses for School for Warriors 2. And again,
which in themselves are amazing things. Those are all amazing things in themselves, you know.
They are indeed, and there's more about those actually. If you go to the link at the bottom, or the link we'll send round tomorrow, schoolforwarriors.com/yes/FW123.html. You'll be able to read more about all of those bonuses, and it's a bit of a tongue twister, that. The other bonuses, well, as for School for Warriors 1, you get the less than half price 2-day live training, which we don't have a date for as yet, but we will let you know. It's more than likely going to be in London, and it's more than likely going to be recorded, so if you can't actually get to the 2-day live training, then you will get the recording half price if you are a School for Warriors student. So that's the bonuses on School for Warriors 2. What would you actually pay for it? Oh, I nearly forgot this bonus, which is Alan Davidson, our friend in Houston, Texas, who has worked for us on putting the School for Warriors website together and various other things, helped us out on many presentations. You also get Alan's Body Brilliance bonus set, his book all about mastering your 5 vital intelligences, and 2 also fantastic audio recordings, which again you can read more about if you visit the URL at the bottom of the page there. So the price for School for Warriors 2, again, we're offering this at less than half price. It is usually $397. Until the end of November, you can get School for Warriors 2 for $197. It's the same again for School for Warriors 3. Let me whip through the training there. School for Warriors 3 is the advanced training. Now, you won't be able to do 3 unless you have already prepared the ground with School for Warriors 1, positioning yourself within your body, 2, accessing, developing and focusing your Qi, and then in School for Warriors 3, this is transmuting the Qi, as Stephen explained about earlier. So it's a 5-week video training implementation program, and it really is the pinnacle of the Taoist psycho-energetics training. It helps you transmute your Qi into pure spirit, create your immortal spirit body, or your super selves. Stephen, do you want to just say a little bit about that immortal spirit body, because I don't think we really mentioned that.
Yeah, so what I was talking about before, the way that what the system does is causes you to be thrust back into your real presence, into what you really are, the big presence. The Taoists see that as a body, and that the movement of energy, this sort of alchemical movement of energy inside the body, creates the actual sort of like psychophysical form of that body. It becomes a kind of a discrete entity somehow, and then it becomes your vehicle for when you die. You pass through without any confusion, as they put it. There's no scattering of consciousness on leaving the body. So really, in a way, I suppose that's a way of saying it gives a certain kind of energetic shape to your big presence. That's what it means.
Okay, so 5-week training for School for Warriors 3, and again some great bonuses. You got the full 2-hour video training on Wu Wei manifesting, which is the Taoist manifesting training even, and you also get the recordings of the last School for Warriors live that we did. That was a full 2-day training and all sorts of new sound and movement and meditation exercises that Stephen introduced during that day. And again, if you take us up on the School for Warriors 3 training, you get less than half price 2-day live training in spring as soon as we found a venue, and we'll let you know where that is and when it is. So coming up soon, we're really looking forward to it. Now, if you decide to go for School for Warriors 3, the usual price of that is $497, but you can get it until the 30th of November for $247. Now, I appreciate I'm throwing out a lot of figures here, but I will do a recap at the end, and we've just got one more of these to go, and that is School for Warriors 1, 2 and 3. So if you haven't done any of this training before, but it really sounds as though it's going to help you, you can take advantage of our very special offer. Now, were you to buy all those trainings separately, full price, they would cost you almost $1,200. Now, we are offering them to you at about half price today, $597 until the end of November. And the exciting thing on this is if you go for all 3 trainings together, you get free entry to that School for Warriors live training that we're going to be bringing you in spring 2014, and if you are amongst the first 5 people to book the School for Warriors 1, 2, 3 package, you will also get a free one-to-one Skype session with Stephen. So if you've got a particular thorny issue that you're dealing with, or you just love a session to talk to him about any aspect of the training, or you've got something you particularly stuck on, save your Skype session till then. But the first 5 people to go to that URL there, schoolforwarriors.com/yes sfw123.html, and you'll get a free Skype session with Stephen. So why are we doing this very special offer? Well, we're doing it because we're going to be making some changes to the website. Now, these changes have been brought about really because technology is moving on fast, and we want to make sure that School for Warriors continues to offer you the best possible experience. And we want to make some updates so that as we move forward and there's more video training made available, Stephen's contemplating a School for Warriors School for Warriors 4. We want to make sure that you'll be able to access that on any mobile devices, tablets, rather than just through the website. So that's why we're bringing you this offer. So until midnight Saturday the 30th of November, you can get the trainings at about half price, plus the half price or free entry into School for Warriors Live. There is of course a full money back guarantee. Now, with a little caveat on that, in that we really do want to continue to ensure that School for Warriors gives you everything that you need to take full advantage of these psycho-energetic techniques. So if there's something in the training that maybe you found a little bit difficult and you'd like a slightly more full explanation of, or there's something on the website that you think we could do differently, or if you're preferring to access the training on your tablet and, you know, it's not quite showing there correctly, we'd love your feedback on that. We want to know about your overall School for Warriors experience, what you've loved, what you think we could do better. And then next spring, hopefully around the time of the live training, we will be bringing you an all-new School for Warriors site. Now, if you're thinking, oh well, I'll wait till then, please don't, because we will never be offering this half price offer again. We've made it available a couple of times, but because of the investment that it's going to take to redevelop that site, it's going to be a huge investment for us. So we will be going back to the full price for School for Warriors 1, 2, 3 and the combination of 1, 2 and 3. Now, if you buy the training now, you will have lifetime access to it. So even when the site moves onto the new version, you will have access of everything that we bring in that's new, but you will only have paid half price. So this really is a great time to buy if you've been thinking about it, or if you've maybe done School for Warriors 1, you've been umming 2 or 3. So please do have a good think about this. The offer is open until midnight Saturday 30th of November. School for Warriors 1 will be $147, which is about £91 or €109. School for Warriors 2 is $197, which is about £122 or €146. School for Warriors 3 is $247, which again is about £153 or $183. And School for Warriors 1, 2 and 3 is $597, which is about £370 or $442. Now we will be bringing in a payment option later this week, so if you'd rather pay in instalments, stay tuned, we'll let you have the link for that. But if you want to hop in quick and have your chance to get the free Skype session with Stephen, and you're up for going for School for Warriors 1, 2 and 3, please do jump in there straight away. Go to schoolforwarriors.com/yes/sfw123.html and you will be in with a chance to get that free Skype session. So that's just about the end of our webinar. Stephen, would you like to have any final comments before we say goodbye to everyone?
Yeah, no, only something really dark, really. But the film that you get every day, they're all shot in Ibiza in the forest, or on the cliff tops, and it's so beautiful. So watching them, you actually get that lovely healing from the beauty of that island as well. It's lovely about the light and everything. It's gorgeous. Just thought I'd say that. Otherwise, brilliant questions, Sue. Really was a great conversation. You really got me going there. It was funny because this morning you said to me, well, actually, what is enlightenment? And I thought, that's true. What is enlightenment? It's like, it was really funny. It was a funny moment to get cognitive about what's the state then? What is this thing? And it's been really fun, and I hope everybody that has listened is enjoying it. And, or excuse my tenses, I hope you've enjoyed it. It's really been lovely to connect with you, as always.
Yeah, we were hoping to keep this to about an hour tonight. We have run over that a little bit, so I'm sorry we've not had time for any questions. If there are an absolute deluge of questions, we may run a separate Q&A session, to answer those questions. But thank you very much for being here, Stephen. Thank you so much for explaining enlightenment to me in a bit more detail today, as I was getting lost in all the different definitions out there. And thank you for a really illuminating talk tonight.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks for being here, everyone. And if you do have a question, please do drop us an email. And meantime, go to schoolforwarriors.com/yes/sfw123.html for all the details about this offer. And we will drop you an email with that URL and all the details. All right, thanks ever so much, everyone, and bye for now.